Hi everyone. In this lecture, we are going to talk about CSS custom properties. CSS custom properties, aka CSS variables, are a new addition to CSS 3, and these allow us to create new CSS properties. The original CSS properties are not probably enough, and we need to create some more. So let's dive into how we can create those. Now, CSS custom properties, they are only defined within the root element of the HTML document. What is the root element? It is the HTML element. How can we select that? So you could either select it using the element name, or you could select it using its proper pseudo class, and that is root. So that HTML is the same as this root. There is no difference apart from the specificity. There is no difference. So HTML is equal to root. Whichever one is more comfortable for you, go ahead and use that. If you write HTML or if you write root, it doesn't really matter. The difference is this is a pseudo class. The specificity is 10. This is an element name, and the specificity is 1. That is the only difference. So the creation of a new CSS property is the same. The process is the same as any regular CSS property. And first off, I need to answer this question that you might be having. Okay, why do we need more CSS properties? The reason for that is more customization for your website. That is the simplest answer that I can give you. Let's say you are using a property way too often, a property value way too often. Let's say you have a main color theme or color palette for your website. That color palette will have values, like let's say 3 values. You have primary color, secondary color, and tertiary color. And you use primary colors for your sections, and let's say you have 10 sections. So you need to write and use that primary color 10 times, right? I mean, that's easy. In any case, if you have custom properties or CSS variables, or if you don't have, you need to write it 10 times. That's not what CSS custom properties is going to simplify for you. What CSS custom properties is going to simplify for you is that, let's say in the future, you want to change those 10 background colors for your sections. You want to change the theme of your website. And you have, let's say, 2,000 lines of code. Now, which one is going to be easier? Is it going to be easier to change only 3 properties, 3 custom properties, which then are going to change the entire website on their own? Or is it going to be easier to go ahead to every line of your code and change every color from there? Which one is going to be easier? Of course, custom properties are going to be easier. That is the issue that custom properties is going to solve for you. Now, keep in mind, whenever you're learning something new, you need to, first off, understand what that thing or that technology is going to do for you. If you don't know the use case, you will never be able to understand it. When you know the use case, then you're going to understand, okay, this is the reason that I'm learning it, and this is why I should use it in my projects. Custom properties allow us to change the entire color palette of our website with just 3 or 4 properties, instead of like sifting through thousands of lines of code and finding and like scratching and pulling our hair out. So instead of doing that, we just use a color palette, and then using the var CSS function, we use that within our project. And when you change the value for that custom property, all the other instances of that color will be automatically changed. You don't need to worry. So instead of working 1 week and changing the entire color palette of your website, you can do that in 3 seconds. That's how easy custom properties make it for you. The only difference between creating a custom property and a regular CSS property is double dashes. So when you want to create a custom property, you need to prefix it with double dashes. That is the rule. So I'm going to say I'm going to have a primary dash color. The components of the property is going to be the same. So you have a property name, you have colon, and then you have a property value. F2F86A6, and then you have semicolon. So you can see this part that I've highlighted is the same as any regular CSS property. The difference comes with these two dashes. And I'm going to create a secondary dash color. And the same with CSS properties. If any property name has more than one word, you need to separate them with dashes. These are best practices. You need to follow these. Like animation timing function, they were separated with dashes. We could take a look at that. So let's go back to animations. Oh, not the HTML, but the CSS. Let me close that. So you can see that when the property name has more than one word, they are separated. The words are separated by dashes. And you need to do that when you want to create custom properties as well. That's two rules. So one, double dashes, and then basically follow the same syntax as any regular CSS property. F2F013. Let's save that. So these are not being used anywhere, right? I'm going to grab the body. How can we use custom properties? This is the simplest example, but when we get to our projects, we are going to use custom properties very, very in an advanced manner, expertly. So I'm going to say background color. Let's say you want to use the primary color as the background color of your web page. You can use the values of your custom properties using the var function. And in here, just go ahead and write the name of your custom property. And the double dashes have to be there. So if you just save it, there we go. This is the color. And let's say you want to use the secondary color. Just go ahead and change the name. And secondary color. And it's going to change. Now, let's say you have used the secondary color 100 times in your website. You don't need to go ahead and find 100 times where this color has been used. You can just come in here and you can just change it to red. And it is going to change all those 100 instances of this color. That's it for this lecture. See you in the next one.